You've seen the image, haven't you? The one plastered across the internet and seared into our collective consciousness. The impossibly beautiful Russian woman, walking through a snow-covered street in high heels and a miniskirt, a portrait of effortless glamour against a harsh, unforgiving landscape. We're told this is a display of vanity, a calculated performance, a tool to attract a wealthy man. But what if it's not? What if this image, this very stereotype we consume so readily, is a form of armor? What if the perfect makeup and the defiant posture are not about seduction, but about survival? A declaration of existence forged in the crucible of history. This journey isn't about confirming what you think you know about Russia. It's about dismantling it, brick by painstaking brick. We're going to peel back the layers of a nation built on paradox, and in the process, discover a story of resilience, identity, and profound contradiction that is far more compelling and far more human than any cliché could ever be. We are constantly told that Russian women are beautiful. It's presented as a simple, almost genetic fact. The original narrative points to high cheekbones, flawless skin, and long legs. But to accept this at face value is to read the first sentence of a 1,000-page epic and think you understand the plot. The intense, almost ritualistic focus on appearance in Russia is not a modern phenomenon born from Instagram filters. It is a cultural echo, a ghost of a past defined by profound, soul-crushing scarcity, not just of goods, but of men. To truly understand this, we must travel back to the most devastating event in Russian history. An event that shadows every family to this day, the Second World War, or as they call it with a sacred reverence, the Great Patriotic War. The Soviet Union lost an estimated 27 million people. It's a number so vast it's almost incomprehensible. Let me put it in perspective, it's more than the entire population of Australia. And the majority of those lost were young men. By 1946, a demographic chasm had been torn through the nation. For every 100 men between the ages of 20 and 49, there were 174 women. In entire towns and villages, which came to be known as widow towns, the male population was virtually wiped out. The writer Svetlana Alexievich, in her Nobel Prize-winning book, The Unwomanly Face of War, documented the voices of women who recalled coming home to find not a single man left on their street. This wasn't just a statistic, it was a demographic catastrophe that reshaped the social fabric for generations. In this environment, the competition to find a partner, to build a family, was not a light-hearted game of romance. It was a matter of survival, a desperate grasp for normalcy in a world that had been shattered. Looking your best wasn't a hobby, it became a crucial, non-negotiable life skill. It wasn't about vanity, it was about securing a future in a world where futures were terrifyingly uncertain. This imperative was passed down from mothers to daughters, not through lectures, but through daily example. The unspoken lesson was etched into the culture: you must always be ready, always present your absolute best self, because opportunity, and the stability it might bring, is fleeting and precious. Then came the 70 years of the Soviet Union. The state championed an ideology of collective identity. Individuality was not just discouraged, it was often seen as dangerously bourgeois, a threat to the collective. Fashion was utilitarian, drab, and uniform. The dream was not to stand out, but to blend in, to become an interchangeable cog in the great machine of the state. The famous GUM department store on Red Square might have looked grand, but for ordinary citizens, shops were notoriously empty. Getting a pair of decent boots or a colorful scarf wasn't a matter of choice, but of luck, or more often, of blat. a complex system of personal connections and favors that was the true currency of the Soviet economy. Personal expression was a luxury few could afford or dare to display. When the Iron Curtain finally rusted and fell in 1991, it was like a dam breaking. Decades of pent-up desire for color, for glamour, for femininity, and most importantly, for individuality, exploded onto the streets. The sudden, chaotic influx of Western brands and fashion was embraced with an almost religious fervor. It wasn't just about buying clothes, it was a reclamation of identity, a visual roar of selfhood after generations of forced silence. That woman you see today, wearing a stylish dress and impeccable makeup, just to go to the grocery store. For her mother or grandmother, that simple act of choice would have been an impossible, fantastical dream. What might look like over the top effort to a Western eye is, in many ways, a vibrant, living celebration of a freedom that is still, in the grand scheme of Russian history, startlingly new. This also explains the incredible, almost military diligence. The original text mentions gyms, diets, and cosmetic procedures as tools to meet beauty standards. But it's deeper than that. In a country that has weathered monarchy, revolution, communism, economic collapse, political upheaval, and radical social change, your body is one of the few things you can truly control. Maintaining a perfect appearance is a powerful, silent declaration of discipline and success in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. It is a suit of armor against uncertainty. It says, the world may be in turmoil, but this right here. I am in control, I am thriving. And the very idea of a single, Russian look. That's perhaps the most misleading stereotype of all. Russia is not a country in the European sense, it's a world unto itself. Spanning 11 time zones, it is a federation of over 190 recognized ethnic groups. In Moscow and St. Petersburg, you'll see the classic fair, skinned, light-eyed Slavic features. But travel south to the Caucasus, to regions like Dagestan or Chechnya, and you'll find a proud people with dark hair, olive skin, and a cultural heritage steeped in Persian and Turkic influence. Journey east into the vastness of Siberia to republics like Yakutia or Buryatia, and you will meet women with stunning, high-cheekboned Asian features, descendants of indigenous peoples whose shamanistic traditions predate the arrival of the czars. To speak of one, Russian beauty is like trying to describe a single European look. It's a fallacy that erases the incredible, breathtaking diversity of a land where continents, empires, and cultures have collided for centuries. The real beauty is not in any one type, but in this spectacular, living mosaic. The narrative we're dissecting then pivots to marriage and family. It paints a simple, alluring, and deeply traditional picture. Russian women, unlike their career-focused Western counterparts, prioritize family above all. They seek a reliable husband to provide for them, while they happily take care of the home, raising children and preparing delicious multi-course meals. They want commitment, and they want it fast. It sounds like a traditionalist's dream, a return to a simpler time. But this image is a carefully curated fantasy, a postcard from a place that never truly existed. It conveniently ignores the most powerful and most exhausted figure in modern Russian womanhood, the legacy of the Soviet superwoman. During the Soviet era, the state's ideology demanded that women be equal partners in the grand project of building communism. This wasn't just empty rhetoric. Women were mobilized into the workforce on a massive scale. They became engineers, scientists, doctors, factory foremen, and tractor drivers. The first woman in space, Valentina Tereshkova, was a Soviet hero. The iconic propaganda posters of the era didn't show women demurely in kitchens. They showed them with determined jaws, gazing toward the future from laboratories and construction sites. This push resulted in a lasting legacy. Today, Russia has one of the highest rates of female education in the world, particularly in the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But here is the brutal, unspoken catch: the infamous Soviet double burden. While women were expected to work a full-time, often physically demanding job alongside men, they were also, without question, still expected to fulfill their traditional roles as wives and mothers. The revolution happened in the workplace, but not in the home. They were supposed to finish a long shift at the factory, and then come home to queue for bread, cook the borscht, scrub the floors, and raise the children, often in cramped communal apartments with no modern conveniences. This created generations of women who are, by absolute necessity, incredibly resilient, resourceful, and capable of juggling a dozen tasks at once. They were taught that they had to do it all because there was no one else to do it. So, when we hear that a modern Russian woman doesn't focus too much on her career, we need to understand the deep historical context. It's rarely a simple rejection of personal ambition. More often, it's a pragmatic, bone-weary reaction to this exhausting double burden. For many, finding a reliable partner isn't about being saved by a man, it's about finding a true partner who can offer the economic and emotional stability that allows them to build a family without completely sacrificing their own health and well-being. The deep cultural desire for a strong family unit isn't a sign of dependence, it's a desire for a sanctuary, a small island of stability in a world that has been anything but stable. The idea that they demand commitment quickly is also profoundly misunderstood if seen through a Western romantic lens. One must remember the 1990s. After the fall of the USSR, Russia plunged into a period of economic and social freefall known as the Wild 90s. Hyperinflation wiped out life savings overnight. State-run enterprises collapsed. A new class of oligarchs emerged, seemingly from nowhere, while pensioners sold their family heirlooms on the street to buy food. The social contract dissolved into chaos. For those who lived through it, a deep, cultural craving for clarity, for certainty, was seared into their psyche. A relationship with ambiguous intentions, with no clear direction, feels like more chaos. Asking, "What are we?" isn't about a girlish impatience to get to the altar. It's a fundamental, adult need to know where you stand. It's a firm rejection of crippling uncertainty. Furthermore, this traditional view is far from universal. In the dynamic, cosmopolitan hubs of Moscow and St. Petersburg, a new generation of women is forging a different path entirely. They are tech entrepreneurs, avant-garde artists, corporate lawyers, and political activists. They are delaying marriage, focusing on their careers, and defining success on their own terms. There is a vibrant, outspoken feminist movement challenging the old patriarchal norms. The woman who wants a traditional family and the woman who wants to build a business empire are not two different species. They can be, and often are, the same person at different stages of her life, or two sisters living in the same apartment block who simply chose different paths. Russia is not a monolith. Its women are navigating a complex, often contradictory intersection of Soviet legacy, deep-seated tradition, and modern global ambition. To reduce them to a single, simple stereotype is to miss the fascinating, messy, and ongoing evolution of their identity. The script we examined correctly highlights that Russian women are frank and know exactly what they want. The example given is almost comically simple. If he wants sushi for dinner, he will ask for it. This observation is accurate on the surface, but the reason behind it is profoundly cultural and historical. This directness is not a mere personality trait. It's a communication style forged in an environment where trust was the most precious, and by far the rarest, of all commodities. In the Soviet Union, a citizen had to navigate two parallel realities every single day. There was the official truth, the one proclaimed in the state newspaper Pravdas, whose name ironically means truth, and broadcast on state television. And then there was the real truth, the one whispered in smoky kitchens among trusted family and friends. People developed a sophisticated sixth sense for reading between the lines of official propaganda. Public language was often a swamp of euphemism, ambiguity, and coded messages. As a result, in one's private circle, with the people who truly mattered, your svoi or your own, there was no room and no patience for such games. Direct, unvarnished honesty became the bedrock of all real relationships. It was the ultimate sign of respect and intimacy. To be indirect, or to sugar-coat your words with someone you cared about, could be seen as deeply insincere, even insulting. It implied you didn't trust them enough to handle the truth, that you viewed them as a fragile outsider. This cultural habit persists with remarkable strength today, when a Russian person seems blunt or even rude to a Westerner. They are often simply affording you the same level of directness and respect they would a close friend or family member. They are skipping the superficial pleasantries because they assume a baseline of mutual understanding and emotional strength. This ties directly into the concept of dusha, or soul, which is absolutely central to the Russian psyche and has no perfect English equivalent. Unlike the Western emphasis on a sunny disposition, a positive mindset, and constant optimism, Russian culture values deep, soulful connection, which often involves embracing the full spectrum of human emotion, including melancholy and suffering. Small talk about the weather or sports is often seen as painfully superficial, a waste of precious time. True connection, dushevny razgovor, soul-to-soul talk, happens through long, intense conversations about life, philosophy, art, politics, and personal struggles. It's about revealing the messy, complicated, beautiful truth of your dusha to another person. The original script mentions that Russian women are intelligent conversation partners, and that pillow talk will be interesting. This isn't just a bonus feature of the relationship, it is a core requirement for its very existence. Intelligence, wit, and a broad knowledge base are not just attractive, they are the essential tools required to engage in this kind of soulful exchange. A relationship without this deep conversational connection is considered hollow, a mere arrangement. So, when a Russian woman tells you directly that seeing your family scares her, as the script suggests, she's not trying to be difficult or create drama. She is paying you a profound compliment. She's treating you as part of her inner circle, someone with whom she can be completely, vulnerably honest. She is sharing a piece of her dusha. In a culture shaped by generations of mistrust in public institutions, this radical personal honesty is not just refreshing, it is the ultimate currency of trust. Finally, the text we're analyzing tells us that Russian women easily move to a different country and find work abroad, as if packing up one's entire life and crossing continents is a casual affair, like deciding to try a new restaurant. This single, breezy statement glosses over a reality that is complex, often painful, and deeply tied to Russia's turbulent relationship with itself and the wider world. To frame this as easy, is to fundamentally misunderstand the gravity of the decision. For the vast majority, leaving Russia is not a simple choice for a change of scenery. It is often the culmination of a long, difficult process, a quest for opportunities, economic, professional, creative, and personal, that they feel are limited or non-existent at home. It is the human face of the brain drain that has seen some of the country's brightest minds in science, technology, medicine, and the arts seek futures elsewhere, a trend that has accelerated in recent years. This is not a new phenomenon. Russia's history is punctuated by waves of emigration, each with its own tragic character. There were the White Russians, aristocrats and intellectuals fleeing the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution. There were the dissidents and refuseniks, escaping the political and religious persecution of the Soviet Union. The current generation's motivations are often more pragmatic but no less profound. They see a world of global opportunity through the internet, and many feel constrained by a domestic political climate that prizes stability over dynamism and an economy heavily reliant on natural resources. The remarkable willingness to adapt to new customs and new people is not a sign of a shallow connection to their own culture. On the contrary, it is a testament to the immense, historically, forged resilience we've already discussed. These are the descendants of women who survived revolutions, civil war, world war, and societal collapse. Adapting to a new language or a different corporate culture, while immensely challenging, is a manageable task for someone whose historical DNA is coded with survival. They are not easily broken. However, this move invariably comes at a great personal cost. It means leaving behind the incredibly close, knit family and deep, lifelong friendships that form the absolute core of Russian social life. It means navigating the cold, complex, and often frustrating bureaucracy of visas, work permits, and immigration laws. And it means constantly, relentlessly battling the very stereotypes we are deconstructing today. The Russian woman abroad is often seen through a distorted, one-dimensional lens, reduced to a femme fatale from a James Bond movie, or the subject of a cruel, mail-order bride joke. Her intelligence is overlooked, her professionalism questioned. So, when you meet a Russian woman who has built a new life in your country, do not see someone who easily left her home. See someone with immense courage, determination, and ambition. See someone who likely weighed her deep love for her homeland, for its language, its culture, and its people, against her dreams for her future and the future of her children, and made an incredibly difficult, often heartbreaking choice. Her journey is not one of easy adaptation, but of willed, deliberate reinvention. She is not escaping her identity, she is expanding it, carrying her history, her dusha, and her incredible resilience with her, on a quest to build a life on her own terms, under a different sky. So we return to that initial image of the woman walking through the snow. She is no longer a simple stereotype. She is a symbol of a nation's soul, its history, its contradictions. Her beauty is an armor forged in the fires of history. Her traditional values are interwoven with a legacy of fierce, unyielding independence. Her directness is the sacred language of a culture that cherishes soulful honesty above all. She is not a mystery to be solved, but a story to be understood. A story of a people that have endured the harshest winters, both literal and metaphorical, and are still standing, determined to walk forward with strength and, yes, with undeniable style. Russia is not a place you can understand in a single visit or through a single lens. It demands that you look past the headlines and the clichés and listen to the complex, soulful, and deeply human stories of its people. What is a stereotype about a place or its people that you found to be completely wrong once you experienced it firsthand? Share your story and your thoughts in the comments below. If this journey opened up a new perspective for you, please share it with a fellow traveler who loves to dig deeper than the surface. And for more explorations that go beyond the postcard view, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for joining this exploration.